Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think we begin our tier list though. On Platinum below. But I already made the Emerald and above. If you want to check that, it's on Discord, by the way. But anyway, this champ, not gonna lie, new season is gonna be Z tier. I'm actually pretty certain, by the way. Because look at this item. It's like the perfect item for Diana. It has ability power, it has health, it has ability haste, it has attack speed, and you know, after using ability, guess what? It deals extra damage and applies on-hit effects on additional time. So, you know, the passive. I'm just gonna go left to right, okay? Listen, I'll be honest, in low elo, just don't even bother. I'll put it straight into C, into the bin. Ivern. Okay, if you're in low elo, it's pretty bad, this champion. I'll put it B tier. As you get higher, okay, if you're in platinum, it's like, it can still be A plus or A. But if you're like gold and below, just don't even bother. So I'm just explaining why it's B tier, okay? Xin Zhao. Okay, this champion is solid. However, the clear is very dog shit. But because it's a bruiser in low elo, it's still A tier. This champion, but it might feel really bad because the clear does not feel great. But in fights, you're still good. So it's always going to be very solid, you know? As for Volibear, I think this champion as well is going to be pretty solid. Sadly, because once they nerf Volibear, I think the champ has to be the same as it used to be. So I would still put this champion on A, and sadly not A+, okay? It is an A champion. Z, okay, Z's criminal, just... If you're low elo, don't even bother. It's just not it, you know? Okay, Kindred in low elo, it's B tier as well, just don't even bother. If you're like very low elo, like Iron, Bronze, I would even put a C tier. If like Silver, Gold-ish, I can put a B tier, but I would not recommend to play the champion. Sign as well, don't play this champion. Yes, you can clear, but your team is gonna FF before the game starts. Like literally. You're gonna full clear, you're gonna be strong, but your teammates have already tilted for Oblivion, and it's cooked. Jarvan, okay, any straightforward champion. So any champion that's not really straightforward, I'm gonna put it A tier. Okay, like honestly, Volibear could maybe be A+, because it has still very good skirmishing. I think Volibear is maybe A+, honestly. Because it still has really good fights. That didn't change. But these two, for example, are strong, but not like as OP as Volibear 1v1 and in fights. I mean, since I was strong in Volibear, but I think I'll probably put it like this. Viego. Okay. If you're very... Okay, Viego is a champion that... If let's say you played League only for like 1 year, I'll put it like B tier. Oops. B tier or C tier. If you played Viego, or like if you played League for like a longer time, and you understand other champions, how they work, I think it can be A tier, because you can get free resets. However, most of the times, this champion is like having a Lulu in his team comp, then it's not as good. So try to pick Viego if you have a knowledge or something, then I could put it A tier. If you have like an enchanter, it's like B tier, okay? That's how I have to see it. And in low elo, you probably get more often an enchanter than a melee support. So I'll put it B tier, but just something to keep in mind, right? Nocturne. This champion is going to S tier. Why is it going to S tier? I mean, take a look at the following. Imagine you have home guards and you full cleared, and you're zooming onto side lane with 640 movement speed, and you're like, alright baby, I just full cleared, let me press the ultimate. And you're like, hold up, he's at tier 2, no problem. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know? Have fun if you play side lane. Like, he literally gets movement speed. However, there's a 2000 radius. But guess what? If you play Nocturne at 2000 radius, who cares? So that's why Nocturne in lower elo is even going to be more OP. Because anyone that overextends is so cooked. But yeah, let's move on to the tier list. So, okay, Bel'Veth in low elo, just don't play. It's B tier. Like, as you get higher, sure, but in low elo, just don't even think about it. Echo, okay, even though it's for low elo, I still think this champ's A+, because it is decent clear, good fighting. So, I'll still put it A+. I think that this champ hasn't really changed much. And with the patch, it doesn't really change that much. So I'll still put it A+, by the way. Zyra, okay. This champion, even though you're in low elo, people should learn how to play this champion. Because if you play against any champ that's going into you, okay, it is pretty, good. And this champion as well, considering most champions are going to clear slower. I'll already tell you guys right now, I've tried it. On Zyra, if you manage to full clear fast, and you play against the Xin Zhao, and you take one of his camps, and you take double crab, which is easily possible, you can get level 6. If you know how to clear a Zyra, and you use your tempo to invade the enemy laner, enemy jungler, it's very, very, very cooked for them. So this champion, legit, just learn how to clear, and even in low elo is going to be super good. I would recommend this champion, by the way, for sure. All right. As for Gwen, in low elo, well, don't play this champion because, but this champion takes time to scale, and most people in low elo are gonna fight and they're gonna die. So, well, don't even bother. As for Lilia, well, this champion requires a lot of spacing. So I think this champion isn't as good in the low ranks because it requires a bit of mechanics, and usually low rank people don't really have good spacing and not really good threat assessment. And Lilia is one of those champs that you really needed, As for Nefiri, it's B tier as well. Simply because on Nefiri, you kind of want to play slow VQ sometimes, and knowing how to play macro is pretty essential too. And in lower elo, people are not there yet, so that's why it's B tier. Nunu! Yeah, the perfect champion, for A tier. It can just run people down. And Nunu as well benefits like Nocturne as well. By going to side lane, he can start rolling his snowball. I'm telling you, Nunu, you'll see him running with a snowball at side lane, and you're like, what the fuck? Why is he like speedrunning me? This champ is gonna surprise people on side lane ganks especially. So honestly, in low elo, especially mid game, I can see this champ being quite strong, but I wouldn't put it strong enough to put it A+, but I'll put it A tier. Zac, okay, Zac usually is a champ that you need to land your E and Q, and if you miss that, you're a useless champion. So yeah, I mean, I'll just put it B tier. Rengar, C tier, just don't even bother. If you're platinum below, just... Okay, unless you really enjoy Rengar, you can play him, but I would not advise you to play this champion because it's quite difficult. Because you need a lot of macro knowledge and know exactly which fight you should take and which fight you shouldn't take. As for Jace, okay, I think Jace in high elo is very strong. But the thing with Jace is that in lower elo, it doesn't have hard engage. You need to space properly. And people in low elo can't really do that properly. It's quite a difficult champ to pull off, so it's B tier. Karthus, I'll put Karthus B tier as well. I'm a very big fan of Karthus in high elo, but in low elo, if you cannot abuse tempo and good base timers and hit your skill shots as consistently as possible, it's not really that great. I do think the champ is very, very strong, and some people in low elo can make this champion work, but for the majority, I would not recommend it, because if you can't abuse tempo, you can't abuse Karthus, As for Morgana, honestly, in low elo, I'll just put a C tier. Like, it doesn't do that much. As for Graves as well, I would just put Graves in C tier. It's a similar champ to Kindred, so I'm gonna... and why do I put Graves C and not B? Because Graves... The thing is that if you fuck up, you're just dead, I think if you go Bruiser build but a little bit tanky, it's actually okay. It can be B tier. But if you go like full lethality, I'll put a C tier. However, if you go the Hubris Black Cleaver build and you go a bit beefy, then you're good. I would put a B tier, okay? I would recommend that build over full lethality if you're playing low elo. So you're more okay if mistakes happen. Bessa. Okay, the problem with Bessa is that this champ is good as well in high elo, but in low elo, people struggle playing this champion. Because one, they don't optimize their clear. You can optimize a lot. And two, because you need to learn the combo. And the combo is honestly, it's not hard. But a lot of people play it sadly poorly. But like I said, if you really are good on the Bessa and you like really OTP it, I can see it easily being A tier. but it requires you to like play well, you know. But that's with most champs. But I'm just putting it in the category that fits for most people in lower elo. Okay, Warwick. Okay, here's the Warwick. I'll put it on A+. I would personally recommend you to learn Nocturne Diana over Warwick, because as you get higher elo, at least these two champs will be more useful than this champ, you know? But in lower elo, if you 1v1, it's still very good, and it doesn't really change with the new season. Like, people will fight you for the crap, and yeah, you just beat them. But the downside is that Warwick does have a slow clear, so he might not be able to... No, actually, he will not make it for the first crap. So if you play against champ like Zyra, the crap might be gone before you get there. So that's just something to consider. But if you play against a champ that has like same clear issue like Xin Zhao, it's free win as Warwick. It's like through the roof. Mundo. I mean, Mundo has always been a very solid champion in lower elo. Simply because if you full clear, you get your HP, you're just very strong. It's very brain at the 1v1. And even in teamfights, you're kind of strong. So on this champion, I'll definitely put it on A+. Quite a good champion. Same for Shyvana. I would say Shyvana as well is like an A+ champion, especially in the lower elos, because it's going to be more full clear based, and you're just playing for objectives. The moment you get like 1 to 2 items and you're playing for an objective, this champ is strong in 1v1 and in teamfights. So that's why I put it quite high. Cho'Gath, I mean, I'll also put a B tier, because it requires you still to land your skill shot and understand how you want to play objectives and abuse tempo a little bit too. And people in lower elo don't usually do that. And honestly, if you don't know how to abuse tempo a bit, you can watch my YouTube videos. But usually in low elo, people need to first learn how to gank, champion mastery, base timers. And once they understand that, understand tempo, these champs can easily go to A. But otherwise, it's just B. Popster is a good counter pick, especially against champs that have dashes. So if you're playing against Nambessa, Viego, Belvet, you name it, it's very good. But generally speaking, I would not recommend you to play this champion. It's more like a counter pick. I mean, honestly, Poppy is a champ that I think just don't play it in jungle. There's so many other champs that are better. I'll put it A tier because I do think it's solid champion in lower elos, but I wouldn't really recommend to play him. As for Elise, Elise in lower elos as well is usually not the best. And another thing with Elise, which is, I'll show you. So, especially if you play Elise in mid game, you need to understand how to play vision, right? And especially the new Phaelites, you need to be able to know where you can position and where you can trap. And usually, this is not the highest priority if you're in lower elo. So, it's even going to be more difficult to make Elise work. You really need to, like, understand vision and how you can trap people. And with this new vision, obviously, it makes it a bit harder. And it's not just this, right? It's well understanding how to play around dragons and tempo. So that's why on the Elise I'd put it a bit lower, you know? And lower elo especially as well. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't scale like OP in teamfights like some other champions. Jax. Okay, Jax is an interesting pick. I do still think... Okay, honestly, Jax clear is very slow in a new patch. But just because the champ is very slow and clear, it doesn't mean this champ is shit, okay? Because this champ still beats like almost every single champion. 1v1. And as long as you beat people in fights, and you have decent scaling, that is good enough. So if that's the case, in my books, it's like, okay, it's like between S or A+, but I would still put it S tier. Simply because what you can do is just full clear, base, give one crap if you have to, and then after your base, you can look for the second crap. And if the enemy jungler goes for like both craps, then you can just try to delay his bases and invade a second camp, and you can take his camp anyway. Of course, you do have to ping your laners to push a move, but I still think this champ in low elo is going to be still extremely strong. Talon, in low elo, I'll put a B tier. If you decide to play Talon though, would definitely recommend to watch Chaos Stanza Talon combo guide and just understand a bit how to clear and how to use the combos. Then it's actually not that bad, but if you don't do that, straight into the bin. But yeah, it's a B tier champ. I would say though that, bro, this after being unseen, lethality damage, you can clear vision. Bro, this item is cracked. Buy that shit before it gets nerfed. B tier. Mordekaiser. Ironically, in low elo, it's actually A+. Simply because if you farm and you buy items, you beat every single champ 1v1 almost, and they'll fight you no matter what. So that's why I put this champion pretty high. Simply because it is just very OP 1v1, and teamfight's not bad either, so I would definitely recommend this champion. It's a very niche champion, but trust me, in low elo, very good. Sejuani, I mean, it's a fine champ, right? It's like a B tier champ, but don't play it. Play more fun champs, please. Wukong. Wukong is the same boat as Xin Zhao. The clear is like slow, but in fights it's very strong. Same with Wukong, you might have to full clear, and if you play against fast-paced jungler, you just instantly base and go for the other crap. Kiana, okay, Kiana is like C tier in low elo. Don't even bother. In high elo, it can be like S tier, A+, but in low elo, don't. Very difficult champion to master. A lot of people struggle with this champion. I mean, if I would go to, let's say, bronze and we go search Kiana, it's like somewhere. It's probably the lowest win rate, by the way. Okay, third lowest win rate, and you know what? The last two are not even junglers. And you can see Kiana and Rengar are the lowest. The assassins, generally speaking, you can see is like super difficult in low elos because you're not good 1v1 and you're not good in teamfights. And what happens in low elo? You 1v1 and you teamfight. So, not recommended. Nasus. Okay, actually Nasus, ironically, is A or A+. I actually don't even know which one exactly, but it's actually pretty decent, by the way. 1v1 is strong and teamfight is not bad, so I would put it on A+. Actually, maybe it's even A+. Actually, no. Also, I'll put it like A+, fine. I think this champ actually low elo, if you just power farm, not bad. Tryndamere, okay, don't bother in low elo, just end of story. Rumble is B tier. I mean, managing Furry and using the ult is kind of difficult. I wouldn't put it C tier, because it's still pretty good 1v1, and in teamfights it's alright as well. Fiddlesticks. Okay, despite being Phaelites, the Phaelites don't really impact Fiddlesticks as much as I thought, simply because those wards are at specific locations, and they don't really cover every single bush. So it's still like a B tier. It is not C. It's B. Zahen, I'll be honest, I think Zahen clear is very sus at the moment, and it's actually not that easy to play either if you want to play it properly. So I'll put it on a low end B tier. I'll personally not recommend this champion. Udyr. Okay, Udyr is going straight into A+ or A. Okay, I feel like it's an A tier champion. Simply because the champ is very predictable. It is a solid 1v1. It is a solid team fighting, but it's not the best at everything, you know? That's why I put it A tier. Mossy is well A tier. I mean, this champion, and why is it A tier? Most people would waste all their abilities, and this champion gets a lot of freedom to, like, yeah, clean up, right? So it's A tier. And teamfight's pretty solid as well. As for Kha'Zix, okay, like I said, most assassins are just B tier. This champion is sadly an assassin. In Platinum, I think I can put like maybe low A tier, especially with the Umbral Glaive change. Because look, I mean, this is correct. But basically, most assassins is just B tier, especially in low relo. Riven, C tier. Like, I'm telling you, Riven is a very difficult champion. Like, besides assassin, Riven is probably one of the lowest winners as well, because doing the combo, yeah, I think people will struggle with that. Mechanically, it's a hard champion. Olaf, I'll put Olaf A tier, simply because it's actually pretty strong 1v1, but it does fall off if you don't play properly, and you might feel useless. So, yeah, it's like, actually, it's B tier, because you do fall off, and the teamfights later, you don't become that OP. It's low-key a Snowball champion. It's strong at the beginning phase, but if you throw it, you feel really cooked, and people usually do throw. Gragas, okay, wait. Evelyn, low B tier as well. Like, Assassins is low B tier. Skarner, would not recommend. Ornn, I mean, just tanks as well, not recommended. Aatrox, low B tier. It's quite a difficult champion. It is a bruiser though. It doesn't beat most champs traded 1v1, but in teamfights at least it's alright. So it's B tier. But as you noticed, most champs that are A or A plus are either strong 1v1 or good in teamfights, or both, you know? Usually both are A plus, unless they're very on the spectrum on the 1v1. Needly, yeah, don't touch that. Not recommended. Like if you play Needly in lower elo and you actually want to climb, you're shooting yourself in the feet. If you want to play Needly because you enjoy it and you know it's a bit difficult to climb, you can do so. But the journey will be harder, that's all. Rek'Sai, B tier. Because if you fall behind as well, you're cooked, and it's not like you're dead OP 1v1. It has good ganks, but you don't want to rely on your team. You want to carry yourself, you know? Malphite in low elo is actually A+. It has hard engage. Decent 1v1 against most bruisers. So in low elo, it's pretty good, I would say. Talia, okay, no bueno. Because 1v1 shit, teamfight you need to play well. If you're out of position, you're instantly dead. That's why I put a champion C tier. Rammus, okay, in the right situations, it can easily be A tier, but I would put it on low B because it's a tank, and usually carry champs are a bit better, like, unless it's an assassin, but like bruiser champs-ish. Maokai, low B tier as well. Those champs are okay, but not really that insane, you know? Briar, for me, goes to A+. Because in 1v1s, as Satra, it's super strong. In teamfights, it's like mad, but it's inflated 1v1. But I would say these three champs are better to play. Especially if you go higher elo. And I hope all of you guys will go higher elo, right? So you don't want to pick like Brian and notes like, okay, my champ is shit. I mean, I've had a student go to Diamond with Briar. But still, like, most people don't manage to get there. Gragassi is just a mad champion. That's all I will say. Hacker in B tier. Okay, why is Hacker in B tier? It actually requires a lot of champion mastery. And this champion is good, especially with the following. The movement speed thing, right, that I showed you before. But the thing is that this champion is not that OP in fights and not that OP in 1v1. That's why it's B tier. Amumu, I'll be honest, Amumu actually might be S tier. Because in team fights, bro, you're so strong. You full clear, play for your ultimate. No ult, don't fight. Like legit. In lower elo, this is just one of the most OP teamfight champions. Because no one knows how to buy items like mercs. The AD carries that should go cleanse don't go cleanse. And if that's the case, this champ is so OP. Okay, Pantheon, very low B tier, clears dog shit. Teamfighting is meh. 1v1 is good. Nautilus, Omega useless champion, don't even bother. Sylas in low elo, not it either. The clear got a bit nerfed. And there are just much easier champs to play. Like more straightforward champions. Okay, Kayn. Okay, Kayn actually is A. Easily. Why is Kayn A? Okay, only if you go red form. If you don't go red form, kind of trolling. I would say even like if you play against a lot of melee champions, it can be A+, but generally speaking, it's A. Trundle A+. It does beat a lot of people 1v1, like really hard. And especially if in low elo, it's like pretty solid. Nico is like low B tier. Darius is like very low B tier as well. Shaco, considered an assassin. That doesn't skill at all. Shaco just steals laners. Fizz is on the lower end, on the B tier. Brent. I mean, I would say C tier as well. Simply because you're like immobile. 1v1's meh. Team fighting is good, but positioning is very difficult. Via lower B tier. Because 1v1 shit, team fight meh as well. And I'll keep Teemo there. But that's basically the tier list for Platinum below. And like I said, the high elo tier list is on the Discord. And that's pretty much it for the tier list for the new season.